So biological media, mechanical and chemical media. In a perfect world, you'd have a combination of all of them in your tank. So within your filter, you need to select the media that goes into it. Then you need to know how to service this media. Mechanical and chemical medias tend to get replaced. So understanding that's really important. Understanding how that relates to your water quality. So once again, if your filter's not not functioning well, you'll find your pH and KH tend to drop. If you're not have enough surface agitation, you'll find that'll drop your pH and KH. The other thing is that the filter, especially the biological part of the filter, is relying on oxygen. So what I wouldn't want to do is just have a tank run on a canister. I'd want to have some sort of backup or contingency. So having an extra power head at, say, the other end of the tank, and agitated, so it's going to agitate the surface of the water. What that means is if the canister was going to be unplugged or disengaged or fail, then this is able to keep the fish alive until you're able to identify that you've got yourself a problem. So whether you have an air stone for the bubbles or whether you have a power head for the surface agitation, I really want to have both, because I want to be aware that the water that goes into your filter is going to go past all your biological media, and billions of bacteria are going to grow in here, and that's going to suck all the oxygen out of the water. So if you have an aquarium where the water's coming out of the aquarium into the canister under the water, then it goes back into the aquarium under the water, then the water that comes out of the filter is going to be in deficit. The oxygen level is going to be very low. So agitating the surface going back in will help to replace the oxygen that the filter takes out itself, and then having an extra circulator for good water flow and good surface agitation means that we're going to allow good dissolved oxygen in the water and good redox potential. So redox potential is basically how fast can the bacteria break down waste, and that can be measured in millivolts. So if you have low redox, that means your bacteria works very slowly, and you can't have a lot of biological capacity for that aquarium if the redox is low. If you've got fast redox, because there's good oxygen and your filter's functioning optimally, then your redox potential will be high. That means your bacteria will work very well. And if your bacteria is working very well, that means that you can have more fish. And this is all related to what's called our biological capacity. The biological capacity is how many animals can we put in this environment. If we have good filtration, good aeration, and then ultimately good food is what's going to make the difference for our biological capacity. If a set environment has got really good filters, really good aeration, and not too many fish. If you get too many fish, then all this is going to become a major problem. If we have less fish, then everything we're saying right now is less important. So having a good filter, good aeration, and then good quality food. So this food here is New Life Spectrum's probiotics. And as far as clean is concerned, I would say this is the cleanest food on the market. The probiotic bacteria, not only does it help the fish's digestion, but when the fish poo, the bacteria in the poo eats the poo. So I find that running this particular food, after a month, I'll notice my gravel a bit cleaner. I'll notice my filter a bit cleaner when I clean it. After a couple of months, I'll notice quite a dramatic difference. So I tend to run 80% of my fish's diet on probiotics, but I do also like to put a little bit of Danichi in the diet, because I find that the Danichi is just amazing for the fish's color and vitality. So I do like to sort of combine those two foods. They're my favorites. Now, the next thing you can consider too is there are other flocculants and other medias on the market that can help to keep your aquarium running better. A popular one is Easy Life. So what Easy Life does is basically help to hold in solution what should be in solution and drop out of solution what shouldn't be in solution. So when you put it in there, it makes the water quite cloudy, then the water will clear crystal clear. The other thing that it'll do is flocculate a lot of the particles, making them easier to get out through your filters, particularly with your poly filter. And then when the water clears, it'll be nice and clear. The other thing is that this product will do too is give the water what's called a type positive charge, which makes it harder for type negative organisms to grow in that water. So you just find the water tends to stay a little bit clearer. Now, when you first start an aquarium and you first put fish in, sometimes your water can go a little bit cloudy. Now, that's not unusual, and that's just bacteria that forms very quickly and clouds up the water. But as your tank gets established, and as you get the good bacteria growing in your filter, then the bacteria growing in the water should stop being a problem. So if you have a nice big filter, and you're cleaning it in tank water, not tap water, and you've got plenty of aeration, so your dissolved oxygen level and redox potential should be quite high, then your water should stay crystal clear. If your water is going like a white milkiness, then that could indicate that you don't have enough stable, steady, good bacteria to keep the water clean. And you can often get bacteria in through your tap water that can make the water a little bit cloudy, and that should naturally fix itself very, very quickly. Now, the other thing is green water. If your water does start to go a little bit green, then you want to make sure you reduce the amount of light on the aquarium and then consider a UV sterilizer. So what the UV sterilizer will do is expose the water to UVC light, and then the water will go through the UV sterilizer. It will kill any algae spores, and that will keep the water clear. This is commonly a problem in anything outdoor, but if it's indoor and you're getting green water, the first thing you want to do is look at the light. You want to make sure that you're not getting too much light, and direct sunlight and the light being on too long is most likely your problem, which could easily be remedied by the UV sterilizer. Getting a bigger UV unit is definitely more efficient. So once again, if we have a little look at the breakup of what we're trying to achieve with our aquarium, getting a good quality test kit is a great idea, because basically the quality of your water with the quality of your food gives you the quality of your fish. So KH, GH, pH, they're going to vary depending on the fish that you keep, but they are something you want to be aware of, because every time you do a water change, you're going to want to know whether you need to add any KH or GH additives to get the fish in the water that they should be in. Ammonia and nitrite is very much broken down by your good bacteria that grows in your filter. Nitrate is what media is in the filter, but also your water change routines. Silicate is something that may be in your water. Like if you find you're getting a light brown algae, then you could decide to test silicate. A lot of aquarium shops would do this for you. Otherwise, JBL have got test kits available. Silicate are very easy to remove. There are various resin materials that remove phosphate and silicate from the water. Now, if you're getting green algae in your tank, you may want to cut your phosphate level down. There are various phosphate removing sponges that you can also put in your filter that help to remove that. CO2 is something to be aware of. If you've got lots of fish in the aquarium, you want to make sure there's maximum amount of oxygen in the aquarium. If you've got a lot of plants in the aquarium, you do need to be aware of CO2. If your CO2 levels are too low, then you can get a CO2 unit to boost that up. Otherwise, if you do limit the amount of gas exchange, that is another way of potentially raising your CO2 level. Iron, that's really only important for planted aquariums, but having a good quality test kit to find out what your iron level is. If you've got plants in your aquarium and you find they're going a little bit yellow, then increasing the iron would be a very good idea. Copper is pretty exclusively used for medicating. So if you've got a quarantine tank or sick fish, it can be a very good idea to be aware of what your copper levels are. So they're basically all of the levels that you might be interested in for your aquarium. Getting a good quality test kit is one of the best things you could possibly do. And that gives you the control to look after your own aquarium. If you don't, then go into your local aquarium store and get them to have a little bit of a test for it. And so get them to have a bit of a check. And ultimately, if you're happy with your aquarium and you're getting the results you want, then no problem. But just be aware that if something's going on in your aquarium that you're not quite happy with, you've got to research an answer. So once again, if you've got a good local aquarium shop, that's the best thing you can do. Take a sample of water and video down to your local aquarium shop, and then they can point you in the right direction. If they're not able to help you, it would be good to really try and source someone that you really think has the knowledge to help you, but also the care. You need someone that cares enough about your aquarium to advise you. So maybe if you're getting a little bit of brown algae, maybe you could find out if your silicate level's too high. Maybe if your plants are going yellow, you might want to increase your iron. So basically, your aquarium and what you see in your aquarium is the exact result of what your water quality was like last month. So if we make any changes to the aquarium, we have to be patient to see those changes. So don't go thinking, oh, my phosphate's up a bit, I'll just chuck that in, it will fix it. Everything takes time to fix, but it also takes time for you to see those results. So biological lag takes time. So even if once a month you did a full set of tests on your tank, obviously you can get nice labs like this for fresh water and ones for salt water. And everything that I'm saying is completely relevant for saltwater or freshwater. So basically, saltwater aquariums, you need to have a capacity to get rid of your ammonia and nitrite. There's various chemical medias that you might want to choose, and there are various mechanical medias. So all for a different reason. For most of you, bulk fish waste is going to come out through the biological media. Any particles or garbage in the water is going to come out through your mechanical media. And then any specific issues you might have, such as phosphate, silicate, or whatever, there's many resins that can actually do that job for you. So once again, if your aquarium's running great, good. Otherwise, you really got to look at your test results, because water quality and nutrients are everything. So I really can't stress enough the value of good quality food. If you have a high quality food such as Danichi or New Life Spectrum, for example, you'll find that's half your fish keeping. Because it's very common that I'll go and do a consultation for a customer, and I look at the fish and they look okay, and I test the water, it's terrible. And I look in the cupboard, and sure enough, there'll be a good quality food such as Danichi in the cupboard. The food you feed is absolutely everything as far as the immune system of your fish is concerned. I can go to the very next house where all the fish are dying, and I can test the water. It's nowhere near as bad as the last house, but then I open up the cupboard and then there's not high quality food there. The main issue with food these days is a lot of it's just really processed crap. So a lot of the companies will try to put as alluring food that the fish like to eat, but the quality of the nutrients is often very substandard. We don't want pressure cooked, we don't want heavily processed, we want much more of a raw state food. So Danichi is very famous for that. And then Probiotics by New Life Spectrum is a cold extruded. So that's much more what I'd be looking for. So if you're getting the results you want from your tank, that's awesome. If not, look to understand just a little bit more about water quality and nutrients. Water quality and nutrients is really the key. So this video has given you a whole bunch of tips in order to allow you to maintain good water quality and good nutrients, and understanding your filter material is really crucial to that.